cultivate maize on 100,000-acre farmland and to employ the youth on the farm. At the time that the application was submitted by Wumi Farms Limited, together with a purported board resolution, the company was not yet registered. In other words, it was not in existence. In short, the company did not exist at the time of the loan application by its sole shareholder and director. Investigations established that Wumi Farms Limited was incorporated on December 14, 2017, and issued with a certificate to commence business on the same day. The principal business activities of the company, as stated in its corporate registration documents, are general farming, agribusiness, and agro-processing. The directors of the company are Bernard Enchwebusuako and Thomas Enchwebusuako, with Chairman Wumi being the sole shareholder of the company and also listed as its company secretary. Thomas Enchwebusuako is believed to be the brother of Bernard Enchwebusuako, domiciled in the United States of America. Prior to the registration of the company, that is Wumi Farms Limited, Chairman Wumi wrote to Exim Bank that the board of directors of Wumi Farms Limited had met on December 9th, 2017, and had resolved to seek a loan facility of 19 million from the bank to support its farm project at Asari Nkwanta in the Ashanti region under the Mining Alternative Livelihoods Initiative. The application letter stated, among others, that the credit facility was meant for a farming venture and that the company had secured 100,000 acres of land for that purpose. On January 16, 2018, based upon the application submitted by Chairman Wumi, the chief promoter of Wumi Farms, Exim Bank approved a medium-term loan facility of 18,734,260 Ghana cedis, which included a grant component of 6,768,260 Ghana cedis. This offer was accepted via a letter dated January 23, 2018, and Chairman Wumi, acting as the Chief Executive Officer of Wumi Farms Limited, and Thomas Enchwebusuako as Director of Wumi Farms Limited. The offer letter indicated that the approval of the medium-term loan facility was subject to the bank's terms and conditions. The loan offer letter further stated that the loan was secured with 10,000 acres of farmland of Wumi Farms at Asari Nkwanta. The breakdown of the approved 18.7 million loan as per the offer letter was as follows. A. Purchase of agricultural plant and machinery, working capital, and then grant staff costs and consultancy fees. As part of the pre-disbursement conditions of the loan, Wumi Farms Limited was to do the following, among others: execute an equitable mortgage over the land earmarked for the project, submit a valuation report on the land to be used as collateral, execute a lease agreement over the equipment, provide a letter of undertaking from off-takers to make payments in the joint names of Ghana Exim Bank and Wumi Farms Limited, and then finally submit copies of the contract with the National Buffer Stock Company, under which Wumi Farms was to supply the food items to Buffer Stock. IESO Agribusiness Consult, a company specialized in investment advisory services, consultancy and training and development, was contracted by Exim Bank and assigned to Wumi Farms Limited as a consultant to the project. The key function of IESO Agribusiness Consult was to provide technical assistance to Wumi Farms Limited. On February 14, 2018, EBAN Capital Limited, a company that specializes in financial technology services, cash management services, distribution of custom banking and payment software packages, was also contracted by Exim Bank and assigned to Wumi Farms to provide a platform that will facilitate staff salary payments, customization, integration, POS, terminals, and biometric cards for the farm hands that were to be employed by Wumi Farms Limited. Wumi Farms Limited was to provide IBAN Capital Limited with a database of all workers, from which IBAN Capital Limited was to integrate the workers on a payment platform. IBAN Capital Limited would then receive funds directly from Exim Bank for onward disbursement to workers, to the workers' wallets as salaries and allowances. Ladies and gentlemen, Wumi Farms Limited failed to provide a database of farmers, of farm hands to IBAN Capital, as there were no farmers working on the land, no farm hands working on the land. According to witnesses, Chairman Wumi, as CEO of Wumi Farms Limited, insisted and put pressure on IBAN Capital and Exim Bank to transfer the 400,000 meant for the workers to Wumi Farms Limited on the basis that the youth who were involved in Galamsey were not used to complex electronic payment systems and wanted to be paid in cash. In order to execute the project, Wumi Farms Limited had submitted a pro forma invoice to Exim Bank for the purchase of farm equipment, including tractors, combine harvesters, corn seeder machines, and Wellington boots. The invoice was submitted on December 15, 2017 as part of the loan application process. Subsequently, Exim Bank demanded proof that the equipment has been purchased. On March 18, 2018, Chairman Wumi submitted a receipt from a company known as Kasama Enterprise for the purchase of the equipment in the sum of 4 million Ghana cedis. However, and this is where it gets interesting, the equipment purchase as shown on the receipt included bulldozers and excavators. Our investigations established that Chairman Wumi had approached Kasama Enterprise, an industrial equipment dealer, and obtained an invoice with a promise to return to purchase the said equipment. He never went back to purchase the equipment. Instead, and this is where the criminal enterprise began, he forged the invoice he obtained from Kasama Enterprise by removing the word invoice and replacing it with receipt. This forged receipt was then submitted to Exim Bank as proof that he had purchased the equipment after the disbursement of the loan facility. Investigations established that Chairman Wumi did not purchase any equipment and as such could not register any equipment in the joint names of Exim Bank and Wumi Farms Limited as per the loan conditions, even though funds were disbursed to him to that effect. A contract, but constitute acts of criminality by no means a person than the regional chairman of the then ruling party. In the circumstances and the face of the evidence we have gathered in this investigation, thoroughly conducted by the Economic and Organized Crime Office, we have made the decision to prosecute Wumi Farms and its directors with defrauding by false pretenses, forgery, and causing financial loss to the state in the sum of 24,255,735 Ghana cedis. After the Christmas break, when we resume work, it might be that this figure would have increased because the interest on the principal keeps compounding. And so we will get the exact figure of the amount that is involved in this criminal enterprise from the Exim Bank before we file charges in court. Ladies and gentlemen, in the case involving Mr. Percival Akpalu of the Liberal Party of Ghana, the Financial Intelligence Center flagged and filed a suspicious transaction report with First Bank Ghana Limited regarding transactions on an account belonging to Pomar Universal Ghana Limited. That is a company owned by the said Kofi Akpalu. Following the STR, that is a suspicious transaction report by the FIC, the Economic and Organized Crime began an investigation into the matter. The investigations revealed that Pomar Universal Ghana Limited, a business entity owned entirely by a lady called Ekua Pomar, was the legitimate contractor that was awarded a feeder rows contract by Cocoa Board. The contract, which was valued at 29.5 million Ghana cedis, was awarded in December 2020. Although the project commenced and an initial amount was properly deposited into Pomar Universal Ghana Limited, subsequent payments raised serious concerns regarding misrepresentation, forgery, and unauthorized handling of the checks. Our investigations revealed that Akpalu secretly incorporated another company, separate and distinct from Pomar Universal Ghana Limited, also known as Pomar Universal Ghana Limited, but deliberately added H to the Pomar. So Pomar is P-O-M-A-A, all right, Ghana Limited, which is a company which is owned by Ekua Pomar. What the company that he incorporated added H to the Pomar, so it became, I don't know how to pronounce it, but the same Pomar, Pomar Ghana Limited, Universal Ghana Limited. But the difference was just the H at the end of Pomar. And so after having done this, between December 2022 and June 2024, Akpalu collected 8 checks issued by Cocoa Board in the name of Pomar Universal Ghana Limited. That is the original and authentic Pomar, totaling 3.1 million. That is 3,169,432 Ghana cedis and 22 pesos, and deposited them into the account of his own company, that is also Pomar Ghana Limited with an H at First Bank Ghana Limited. Again, our investigations confirmed that Ekua Pomar was unaware of both the existence of the Pomar Ghana Limited, that is the second company, and the diversion of the funds until Cocoa Board contacted her in June 2024 regarding outstanding balances on the contract. She subsequently discovered that Akpalu had collected and misdirected the payments without her consent. Ekua Pomar also alleged that Akpalu forged her signature on the Cocoa Board contract using her former name, Mercy Owusu, to secure the agreement without her authorization. First Bank Ghana Limited conducted an internal investigations and corroborated the fraud allegations that we have made, concluding that Akpalu knowingly misrepresented ownership of the checks and deposited them into the wrong account. The bank acknowledged operational failures in detecting the discrepancies between the check payee names and the account numbers. The suspects who have been investigated are Percival Kofi Akpalu, Pomar Ghana Limited, the Pomar with the H, and Delvin Akpalu, his wife. That is the spouse of Kofi Akpalu. It's fast becoming fashionable to commit crimes with spouses these days. The evidence shows that they engage in various criminal offenses, including stealing, forgery, and money laundering. And they will be charged by my office, again, as I said, upon resumption of work after the Christmas holidays. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the media, further to the update that I provided during my press conference to announce the conclusion of investigations into the buffer stock scandal, my office continues to work with other institutions of state to bring charges in relation to the oral investigation reports submitted by the National Intelligence Bureau. As you would have known by now, pursuant to discussions with the Auditor General, the sums of money involved in the National Service scandal have been disallowed by the Auditor General, and these sums have been surcharged on the public officers who superintended the looting of state resources at the NSA. The notices of disallowance and surcharge have been duly issued and served on the said public officers. After 14 days, if they fail to show cause why the sums of money should not be disallowed and surcharged on them, the money becomes a debt due and owing to the Republic. And I will proceed to take civil action to recover the sums involved. Once a judgment is obtained, it will be executed using the civil procedure mechanisms, including the attachment of properties they own, whether or not these properties were part of the proceeds of crime. I intend to write formally to the Auditor General for confirmation of the notices of disallowance and surcharge. So I want to send a message to all public officers who are superintending the expenditure of state funds that from now onwards, when you are charged with the offense of causing financial loss to the state, even though with respect to that offense, we don't need to show that you have, in any way benefited from the transaction that either intentionally or recklessly caused financial loss to the state. We will begin the process of surcharging all public officers who have caused financial loss to the state. So in addition to the criminal charges which will be filed, we will ask the Auditor General to disallow and surcharge the sums of money lost to the state on the public officers. Now note, ladies and gentlemen of the media, I do not need to prove your guilt in a criminal matter, all right, in order to be able to succeed in the surcharge and disallowance, because that is a civil matter. It's proved on the basis on the balance of probabilities. So if you in any way recklessly or negligently cause financial loss to the state, all right, the surcharge and disallowance will be the mechanism that will use to recover all the money that has been lost to the state from you. And so I'm serving notice to all public officers who are especially spending officers. Those are the ones who authorize spending on behalf of the Republic, that in situations where your conduct results either intentionally or recklessly in financial loss to the state, I will be, in addition to bringing criminal charges, asking the Auditor General to disallow the sums and surcharge those sums on the public officers involved. Now, overall, ladies and gentlemen, the oral investigations are proceeding well, and we continue to beef up initial investigative reports in order to file charges that meet the standards of proof in criminal trials. I want to also make it clear that the Office of the Attorney General depends on a number of state institutions for information that will lead to filing of charges in court. Apart from investigations conducted by the economic and, by either the economic.
So you identify yourself as usual and then indicate which media house you are representing.
We have become aware of what the president indicated when he said he was going to go after people who have misappropriated or stolen funds that belongs to the state, not just of the past administration, but then the current administration as well. We also know the fight against Galamsey has been one of the topmost ones. Just last week, we got wind of an individual, a lawyer, who was written to the Office of the Attorney General requesting the state of investigations regarding officials of your government, notably Joseph Yamin and then one about that. One, what is the current progress of investigations? And then what is the interim findings that IOCO has made and submitted to your office? And are there timelines with respect to which you may be filing charges, if any?
All right, thank you. Are there any other questions? So please, anybody who has a question should line up so that we do not take too much time in the session.
Good morning. My name is Shadrach Odamejare, Metro TV. My question is, what happens in cases where people make false representations to banks and the banks grants the people the loan? Would the AG also hold those financial institutions accountable? Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Patrick Casport Boidu. Mr. Attorney General, I just want to find out, looking at the funds or the financial statement involved in these two investigations that you have done, I just want to find out what are the parties involved, that is the Wumi and that of Mr. Kofi Apalo, who can come back and rebargain in this case. Thank you very much.
Okay, Honorable Attorney General, you may answer these questions.
Okay.
At this time, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. There are basically three questions. One relates to a letter purported to have been written to my office requesting information on the state of investigations relating to Joseph Yamin and then Abanga. Well, first of all, I haven't received any letter to that effect. If the lawyer has made the letter publicly available, you can forward it to me, and I'm sure most of you have my numbers, so you can forward it to me immediately, and then I will take the requisite action. As far as the investigation is concerned, it is ongoing. Now, you realize that in all the briefings that I make or I do with respect to any matter being investigated by EOCO, we do not announce the results of an investigation until we have come to the conclusion. So you notice from even today's press conference that I have said I am announcing the conclusion of investigations. All right. The issue of illegal mining is a very complex one. I am not holding brief for the EOCO for any delay in issuing a report in relation to the two that I wrote to them and asked that the investigations be conducted, because we had picked some intelligence about their involvement in illegal mining. So certainly a report will be issued by the EOCO in due course. However, there are a number of persons that were connected, all right, to that, the activities that were alleged to have been undertaken by the two persons that are referred to the EOCO. Okay, so it's not like their investigation is going to be in isolation. There's a whole complex web of people who were involved, so the investigations are still ongoing. Now, the Metro TV gentleman asked the question as to whether if representations are made, misrepresentations are made to banks, and the banks are based upon those misrepresentations grant loans, right, whether the banks themselves can be held accountable. All right. Now, if you do make misrepresentations in your loan documents, all right, which are essentially contractual, and that applies to the Wumi case, okay, the bank is entitled to take legal action against you for damages for misrepresentation, okay, which is a remedy that is available under the law of contract. All right. So a bank necessarily does not commit an offense by relying on the misrepresented facts to grant a loan. Do you get the explanation? All right. So that is a matter of contract. However, if you look at what happened in the Wumi case, is beyond. Okay, so there are two forms of misrepresentation. You can have a fraudulent misrepresentation that borders on criminality, all right, that borders on fraud, okay, that can lead to prosecution for defrauding by false pretenses, all right, and the criminal liability is on the person that made the fraudulent misrepresentation and not the fraudulent representation and not the bank. So you cannot hold the bank to a criminal, for criminal accountability in respect of it, because the bank relied on the representation. You can say that it was not diligent. They should have conducted their own due diligence in order to be able to, act prudently and not give the loan to a person who actually does not intend, first, to use the loan for the purposes for which it was contracted, and secondly, basically wants to defraud the bank. All right. So banks cannot be held, criminally liable because they have relied on those misrepresentations made by persons who are seeking, loan facilities from them. Now, the third question relates to the issue of plea bargaining. And I do not want to walk myself into any trouble. All right. I have stated, and time without number, that the law allows persons who intend to plead guilty and make restitution, to do so. So those of you who are, I know some of you are attempting to be lawyers. Others are also pocket lawyers. You can, I'm talking about the journalists who sometimes report from the court. You can look at Section 35, all right, of the Courts Act, okay, especially where the criminal conduct affects the interests of the state. The person can pay restitution, plead guilty to the offense, pay restitution, and get a non-custodial sentence. In other words, they don't go to prison, for that. Under the Plea Bargain Act, they can decide that they want to plead to a lesser offense, all right, pay back the monies. In the case of, Chairman Wuntumi, in excess of 24 million Ghana cedis, all right, and then they'll be given a suspended or custodial sentence. In the case of Akpalu, the same, can happen. So the plea bargaining statutes allow them to take advantage of that. But I am the Attorney General. I am the prosecutor. I am not defense counsel. So it is not left to me to advise them what to do. In fact, what I want to do is make my case to the court, prove beyond reasonable doubt that they have committed the offenses that I'm charging them with, all right? And if the court finds them guilty, it will sentence them to prison terms for what they have, for the wrongs that they have committed, all right? That is my strategy. But because this is oral, I think sometimes the tendency is to say, talk about recovery, all right? But we can do recovery post, the sentence. If someone has been sentenced, I can still go after their assets. And in the case of Wuntumi, one of the things that I forgot to say is that we actually froze his assets, including a 50 million CD account, that belongs to a company of his, an insurance company of his, that we froze. And so it's easily, it's possible for me even now, all right, to take steps, to recover in a civil action using the EOCO, Act, okay, to recover the 24 million, that was taken from Exim Bank, right? So for me, it is left to their lawyers to decide the path that they want, to tread. If they want to defend the action and then get to trial, and then be pronounced guilty or not guilty, it's left to them. If they also want to short-circuit the process by plea bargaining, it is left to them. I would not advise them. I would not be the one to proffer that advice. So thank you very much. Yeah.
Quick update on the National Cathedral. We heard Dom Mahine yesterday speak about or express his revulsion at the whole state of affairs of the National Cathedral. What is the state of the forensic audit that His Excellency the President asked you to do?
Thank you very much. So the forensic audit, as you rightly pointed out, was at the direction or command of His Excellency the President, after he met with myself and the Auditor General, and I think the Finance Minister. Subsequently, we had a meeting at the Ministry of Finance where it was decided that we should speedily get a private audit firm to do the forensic audit. Now, I cannot procure, usually if I'm procuring services, it will be legal services. All right. There's no precedent of an Attorney General procuring non-legal services. And because this is audit and will be supervised by the Auditor General, it was the Auditor General who was given the task by the Minister of Finance to proceed to procure the services of an audit firm to conduct the forensic audit. And Pricewaterhouse was, chosen to do this work by the Auditor General. The last time I checked, they had actually written to my office. This was last week. They had written to my office that they are coming. They want a meeting with me to understand to understand some of the issues that are germane to the forensic audit that they are conducting. Now, that doesn't mean that they've done significant work, and they are getting to the end of their work. But they want some of the stakeholders, such as myself, all right, to have a conversation with them regarding the work that they are doing. So very soon, I want to assure Ghanaians that very soon we will have the report of the forensic audit conducted by PwC, and that will let us know whether or not any wrongdoing had taken place.
Last one or one and a half. You've mentioned public officers being surcharged, but I'm also looking at the Auditor General's report. We keep hearing a lot of financial misapplication. What happens to those reports or afterwards? And then regarding the plea bargain, you also spoke about people have approached for plea bargain. We keep hearing it that consistently. We are going for Christmas. How much so far would you say you have been able to garner? Maybe we can use some for Xmas. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So the Auditor General report, as you rightly pointed out, is usually replete with acts of malfeasance by public officers. And then most of the time, they appear before Parliament. They are queried on those acts of malfeasance or audit findings, and then some of them are able to come up with evidence that they either did not, they either did not commit the malpractice alleged, okay, or that they have since remedied the situation. All right. Now, that is within the remit of the Auditor General. The power to surcharge and to disallow and surcharge is a power granted under Article 187 of the Constitution to the Auditor General. So he alone can disallow and surcharge. All right. I come in, or my office comes in, at the point where we have to take action to recover. We have to take legal action to recover. And that is where we can come in and take the action based upon the disallowance and surcharge notices to recover from the persons who have been surcharged. Yes, and then talking about recovery, offers have been made, as I've said. In some cases, in the National Service case, for instance, one person offered to pay 22 million Ghana cedis, okay, out of, I think, 30-something, about 38 million, and I rejected the offer. All right. So, yes, offers, keep being made, but sometimes the offers are made conditional on people just bringing the money and walking away, and I say no. So that is where we are. That is why we haven't recovered. But we will certainly recover, and we will recover a lot of money. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Attorney General, for that concise briefing and your crisp responses. So we'll draw down the curtains on today's edition, and in fact, this year's edition, unless something of biblical proportions happens before the end of the year. So to all of you who have been part of the success of this program throughout the year, I extend sincere thanks to you. I hope to see you next year. Merry Christmas to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Breakfast Day, on ChannelOne TV, rather. That was from the presidency, the accountability series, and before was the Minister of Justice and Attorney General. That is Dr. Dominic Aine, and he presented a number of things. Amongst them is Wuntumi's name came up, also Akpalu came up in studio for us to have a brief conversation on what the minister indicated as Fred Tetejabano, who is my colleague in the newsroom. Fred, last week, the Attorney General came out to talk about a number of things. Key amongst them was the former Finance Minister, and he noted that today there will be a big announcement that will be made. Today, we've heard of the Attorney General talking about the Wumi Farms Limited and its directors, alleged amount of money that came inside. Also, Kofi Akpalu's name also came into the scene together with his wife. Can you tell us details of what really transpired at this particular event?
So the Attorney General today came purposely to give a briefing on ongoing investigations into two separate cases. The first case having to do with the Ashanti Regional Chairman of
Chairman
the
MPP, yes.
Bernard Bosiako, aka Chairman Wuntumi, whose company, Wumi Farms, applied for a loan from the Exim Bank to develop 100,000 acre of land, to be used for maize. In applying for the loan, according to the Attorney General at the time, this was in 2017, the company, Wumi Farms, was not incorporated and presented it as being incorporated.
Okay.
Subsequent to that, what happened was that he went forward to seek the loan and indicated that he was going to get some equipment to develop the farm land. And he was asked to bring an invoice for those equipment from the Exim Bank. We are told by the Attorney General that he engaged a private company to give him the cost of this equipment, which included tractors and other things needed for the development of the land, in the farmland and the maize project. He got that particular invoice, and the Attorney General alleges that he changed the invoice. So he took out the invoice and replaced it with receipt. So you have the name of the company invoice. This time around, he cleared out the invoice and replaced it with receipt, presenting it to the Exim Bank as if he had already bought these equipment. The Attorney General further alleges that Chairman Wuntumi, instead of going to buy some of these equipment or tractors for farmlands, he went to buy equipment for mining.
Okay.
So the investigation saw that he had he falsely indicated or gave things to Exim Bank which did not exist.
There was a forgery somewhere.
There was a forgery somewhere.
An amount we are looking at is
24 million.
24.26 million Ghana cedis.
Over 24 million cedis, which the Attorney General investigated with the help of Exim Bank. The Attorney General tells us that upon a resumption of work next year, he's going to put Chairman Wuntumi before court, including the company Wumi Farms. Wumi Farms.
Okay. So briefly, let's touch on the leader of the legal party of Ghana, that is Kofi Akpalu, that we also understand that he's been charged for alleged 3.17 million Ghana cedis cocoa board contract fraud.
Yes, this is also another contract having to do with cocoa board. The Attorney General says that Mr. Akpalu went for the contract in the name of a particular company, Pomar Industries or Pomar Company, but changed the original name, which is Pomar, P-O-O-P-O-M-A-H, to P-O-M-A-A.
Okay. So what Attorney General was also saying a little bit there was it was M-A-A, but
he made it M-A-H.
He added H to it.
So the original name of the company spelled P-O-M-A-A.
Yes.
And Mr. Akpalu added H
to the M-A-A.
To make it look like the same company. It was not the same company. We are told that the owner or the chief executive of that particular company went to make a report of defrauding and forgery.
Yeah.
Upon investigations, we are told that Mr. Apalu has been found, according to the